traveling to one of the most unforgiving places on Earth. The remote Alaskan wilderness.
Coming through.
Cut off from the outside world, I'll spend the next 2 months surviving entirely off the land, in some of the harshest conditions on the planet.
We've had 10 days of rain and wind.
Can't even get in these boots. They're solid blocks of ice.
My name is Richard Terry, and I'm here to film the extraordinary world of a man who has spent the last 7 summers living with wild brown bears.
I feel connected to the bears. I have this inner fire going on to know more about bears.
David Bittner believes it's possible for man and bear to live side by side, and now he wants to prove it. This summer, he will journey to the center of the Grizzly Maze, the place where Timothy Treadwell was infamously mauled to death by a bear. Armed only with my camera,
Look, bear's been here.
I will follow David in a bid to understand what drives someone to live among these fearsome creatures.
It's an adrenaline rush. I just want to get closer and closer. This is the worst I've ever been bitten. Today I'm going to fly out by float plane to wherever David's camp is on Katmai, and I've just seen this in the window.
There's no road access to David Bittner's camp. The best way to get there is by air.
Josh, so where do you take me today? Well, we're going out to Katmai National Park, and more specifically, Katmai Bay. There's a lagoon back in there that we'll go to. I guess there's a camp back up in there.
It's a 60-minute flight that'll take me to the heart of the Alaskan wilderness.
So Josh, yeah, we're going to be out there for 2 months. Do you think that's going to be a little bit dangerous? Later in the season, there's the food source dwindles down, and the bears they change a little bit. They start getting a little grumpy, or maybe not grumpy, but they're just food is more scarce, and so they're maybe become a little more territorial. And that's about when the Treadwell thing happened there in later in the season.
Josh hasn't exactly filled me with confidence. I've heard and read so much about Timothy Treadwell, and watched Grizzly Man, the film made about his life out here, 3 times. He spent 13 summers living with bears in this very part of Alaska.
If there's lots of bears out here, I root for them. I sing to them and tell them, hey, good job getting that clam. And the more I do that, it seems like the more clams I get.
By 2003, Treadwell had become headline news, but for all the wrong reasons.
State troopers released new information tonight in a videotape relating to the tragic deaths of a wildlife rider and his companion, mauled to death by bears in Katmai National Park.
Treadwell's death came as no surprise to his critics, and some people believe it's only a matter of time before David Bittner suffers a similar fate. I want to know why David thinks his approach to living with bears is different. I'm flying southwest of Alaska's mainland, along the Alaska Peninsula. Below is Katmai National Park, a reserve stretching over 7,000 square miles. It's a safe haven for some of the biggest bears known to man. Adult males can reach a staggering 600 kilos.
Well, we've landed, and already we've flown over a large sow grizzly with a couple of cubs. This place is so beautiful, but this is the land of the bears. I hope they let us get out the plane without getting too curious.
Howdy.
Perfect. Hello.
Mr. Bittner, I presume?
That's right. You must be the Englishman.
David arrived 3 weeks ago. I'm the first person he's seen for a fortnight.
Nice to meet you.
David.
Hi, Richard.
This is home.
This is home.
Nice to meet you.
On a beautiful sunny day. That's right.
Take it easy. Be careful.
Thanks, Josh.
See you, Richard.
I've been to Alaska before. I spent last summer filming wild bears from a remote cabin. But this is the first time I've had to survive in the wild completely exposed to the elements.
Now we're on our own.
Great.
Let me show you your new home.
I'm gonna lose some weight doing this.
Fence is not on, so you can easily step over that one. And over there is my tent. And I thought at the beginning, because I have my smell already, I thought you're gonna prefer to stay in your own tent.
Are there many bears around?
Well, not now. They're probably having a nap in the thick brush, wait for the weather to cool down.
Speaking of bears, this electric fence, that really doesn't look that substantial. Are you sure that actually keeps a bear out?
It does. It's very, very effective. So I've been using it since my first trip out here, and
But I don't believe that this can keep a bear away. It looks like nothing. That is a tiny battery, and I'm going to try it.
well, yeah,
it's on.
Go. Test the fence. Go for it. You're an idiot. See, if you were bare feet, you would have probably jumped up a couple feet.
I've read that bears have the best sense of smell of any animal on Earth and can pick up a scent from a distance of 10 miles.
David, tell me about protecting food from bears.
All the food is stored here in this small tent, and that's what it looks like. The food is stored in these, in these bear-proof containers, and you open them up with a screwdriver. So they are really bear-proof. And let me give you one of these. I just grab one over there. Toilet paper. So, in case you need to do your big business, please just move a little bit away from camp. Not just a little bit further will be better. And then do your business, and then if you would please just burn your toilet paper, because I really hate it when I stumble over toilet paper.
What am I letting myself in for? What is David letting himself in for? He has no idea how inexperienced I am at camping. And not only have I got to make a film about a guy I don't know anything about who hangs around with bears, I've got to do it all living out of a tent with all my gear. It's not going to be easy.
David Bittner has spent the last 7 years learning how to live among wild brown bears. I've just arrived in Alaska and still need some time to adjust.
Even though I spent 6 months living around bears when I filmed Charlie Vandergaar, it doesn't really prepare you for being right out in the middle of the wild with no wooden cabin to hide behind. Just a bit of canvas and a thin electric fence, and lots of grizzly bears around every corner. I know. I'll let them know I'm English, and maybe they'll leave me alone. Hello, bear. Coming, bear. Nothing to worry about.
I'm convinced the bears can smell my fear. They're constantly circling our camp. And it won't be long before I'm forced to meet one close up. David wants to introduce me to a large male he's named Chappie.
I suppose you have to be careful about the sun out here, David.
You know, my skin is not very used to being out that much, and so I definitely put on some sunscreen. By the way, I advise you not to put on any insect repellent. The best thing what I do is just to get yourself bitten the first time, and then your body can build up its own immune reaction. So this is usually a very good, very smart thing to do.
You're the biologist, I'll trust you.
As we go in search of Chappie, I realise that I've placed my life in the hands of someone I've only just met.
Let's go and check it out.
And it's not long before David does something that leaves me wondering if this was such a good idea. He climbs into the bear's daybed.
Wow, it's huge. Well, and I can smell bear.
What have I let myself in for?
It looks really comfortable for him. I can well imagine him lying in this den and...
Would he be able to smell that you've been up there?
Possibly. So I better get out before he returns.
This, I presume, is Chappie. He's huge.
I think I got out there right on time. There's Chappie. It looks as if he's going right back to his daybed. Let's see if he can smell my presence. He's definitely having a sniff.
Oh, he didn't seem too bothered.
I'm happy that he doesn't bother at all that I've been up there. Chappie returns and having another nap.
David may have given Chappie a rather strange name, but for a 500-kilo bear, I would argue that his eating habits are even more unusual.
What's he doing, David?
It's really funny. He catches these small fish about this size, and even though the creek is full of nice, big, thick salmon, he prefers to dig for these small fish at low tide.
And he's also extremely fussy when it comes to salmon.
Good stuff, Chappie. Well done. Chappie just caught this big fish. It's a jump salmon, and it's really amazing that the bears get really picky. So look at its head. I mean, the bear just picked out its brain. So one small piece, and he leaves the whole of the fish. The fish is still alive, as you can see, wiggling its tail. Obviously, Chappie really likes to eat the brain, so that's nature.
I've been close to grizzlies before, but these bears, known as coastal browns, are almost twice the size. It's astounding.
One of the main reasons that I'm here is to try and get to the bottom of why people like David allow themselves to get so unbelievably close to what are incredibly dangerous wild creatures. Now I can really understand the appeal. Once they seemingly tolerate you enough to get within ridiculously close and dangerous proximity, it's an adrenaline rush and you just want to get closer and closer.
But my joy is rather short-lived. Whilst I've come through my first encounter with a wild bear unscathed, attempts to avoid Alaska's mosquitoes have backfired.
Well, I thought I was being clever wearing this face mask and glasses, but it meant the mosquitoes concentrated their efforts all around my eyes. And this really is the worst I've ever been bitten. It's not easy. What a start.
I've just taken a powerful antihistamine for all this swelling, and last night wasn't so good either. I woke up with terrible cramp in both legs, and there wasn't really any room to move and try and stretch my legs out because I'm sharing a tent with an awful lot of equipment. But I'm not allowed to feel sorry for myself for too long. A young male fishing in a nearby river has caught David's attention.
So do you recognize this bear, David?
Well, I've seen him now the last couple days, every now and then, but it's young, it's shy, it's not that good at fishing yet. It looks a little bit like a fox. Maybe Fox or Foxy will be a name.
I know we like to give our pets human names, but christening wild bears feels a little excessive.
These are really individuals that I, get to know, and kind of a relationship develops. And in my sense, this means respecting an individual bear. And they really deserve a name because each bear is different from another bear.
Why do you think bears are so special?
Bears, for me, is the ultimate species representing wilderness. That's what it is. That's truly what it is for me.
I knew nothing about David before I came here, only that he's a bear-obsessed fisheries biologist. I've since found out that his love of nature began as a small boy growing up in the mountains of Switzerland. His father took him off the beaten track and taught him how to survive in the wild.
From the beginning on, I really had a huge interest in fish, especially salmonid fish, and it was always a dream of mine to see this migration of these thousands and thousands of fish going up to their spawning streams. And this is what brought me to Alaska in the first place.
It was on this first trip in 2002 that the bears captured his imagination. David told me a terrifying story involving a mother and her cubs that ultimately changed his life forever.
I'm floating down this very shallow creek on my raft with all the luggage, and all of a sudden, these three little cubs just revealed themselves. As soon as the mother saw me, she came running at me, full speed. Then I just stumbled backwards, and the moment I fell, she was already on top of me, showing me her teeth, and then she made one movement with the paw. Then she took off back to her cubs, and then she ran off into the bushes until they disappeared, maybe 200 feet away or so.
If a bear attacked me in this way when on my own in Alaska, I can't imagine I'd be in too much of a hurry to return.
You would probably think, why the hell is he coming back then every year after having had such a frightening experience?
David, you almost died after having experienced something like that. You come back to this land with these wild and dangerous animals.
There is in fact a very strong reason for me coming here to Alaska. Back home in my country, in Switzerland, after the absence of over 100 years, we actually have now bears crossing the border from Italy, returning in a natural manner back to Switzerland. This has caused fear and anger and just all different kinds of reactions. Come on, get it! Similar situations are going on in the lower 48, especially those who would not let their kids playing outside anymore because there is a brown bear in the area. I really started to think that maybe most of the encounters that end up with human beings being injured or even being killed by bears are caused by the mistakes of the humans themselves, and it's not, in fact, the bears just being aggressive. I would like to use my experiences and my footage to show these people the truth about brown bears, that they are not these animals to be feared of, but to be respected.
David had to be extremely patient to win the trust of the bears. And it wasn't until he got to know them individually that they would approach him.
Hey, Baloo. How are you doing today? This is the most beautiful bear I've ever seen. I mean, look at how gorgeous he is, and he walks right past me. That's just amazing.
What do you think the bears make of you, David?
I think the bears think about me of being a living organism, obviously, not meaning to harm them. There are certain times where I believe that I am more part of their world and maybe even being looked at one of their own kind. I feel like a bear. This is really amazing. When you have a big male like Baloo and he just sits down this close, it's hard to describe the feelings.
It's hard to imagine that these bears could ever be responsible for taking human life. Maybe the answer lies somewhere in the Grizzly maze, the place where Timothy Treadwell was viciously attacked and killed by a grizzly. Before I find out, I'll have to persuade David to take me there.
I certainly don't like to visit the site where tragedy like this happened.
I've been living with David Bittner and the bears in the wilds of Alaska for 2 weeks now, and supplies are running low.
Here's my breakfast. Peanut butter, camper's staple.
The only way to get fresh food out here is to find it for yourself.
What's the plan, David?
It's about time we get something else for dinner. So I'm trying to get nice big fish out there in the open water. These water here are very famous for nice big Alaskan halibut. So if we get lucky, we get a nice halibut. Otherwise, we will see what kind of fish I will bring home.
I'm really skeptical about this. David thinks he's going to catch a monster of the deep in a sea kayak. I'd like to see that.
Having said that, I think he's about to prove me wrong.
That's our dinner. Well done, David.
There's our fish, David.
Yeah, need to kill him first.
So you basically cut its throat?
Yes, you need to bleed it out. It's a way of killing such a big fish, or you need a baseball bat.
You're going to fillet it on the slab right there.
That's it. That's a good table here. Each one of these fillets will weigh at least a couple pounds. For the two of us, it's a whole week's of food. And halibut cheeks are really considered a true delicacy. It's the best piece of meat. Now let's have a look what this fish has been eating. I open up the stomach here. Look at that. Huh?
I can't believe it. They're whole.
He's been eating 2 crabs lately, that's for sure. That's it. Nothing more.
I can't believe that we are going to be eating wonderful, fresh Alaskan halibut for the next week.
Ready to eat.
can't use enough butter. Let's put in some garlic.
Smells good.
I love the smell of garlic. Let's put in the fish. This big frying pan is my most important cooking utensil. Now you see why I need this big frying pan. Let's turn this thing over.
I'm sure the bears can smell the fish. Hopefully they prefer sushi.
Look at that. Oh, look at this. All right. What are you eating, Richard?
Very funny.
Out here, the freshest fish you'd ever eat. The only thing that would make me more lucky than I am now is if a bottle of Viognier came down from the heavens, or a nice Montrachet. But look at this.
After 2 weeks in Alaska, it's time to move location. We're required by the Park Service to move our tents at least 2 miles every fortnight to keep environmental damage to a minimum. I've persuaded David to set up camp in an area a short plane journey from here that's sadly become infamous for all the wrong reasons.
David's not looking too happy because we're leaving here and he hasn't seen a couple of his favourite bears from last year. Now, the next place we're going is the very same spot that Timothy Treadwell christened the Grizzly Maze, the place where he died, where he was eaten alive with his girlfriend. That's where we're going.
Having read so much about it, I'm intrigued by the place, and I'm hoping it will give me a better understanding of where Treadwell went wrong. Even if David has some concerns over my safety.
It's definitely a dangerous place because the possibility to meet or even surprise a bear at close distance is really way bigger in this location compared to somewhere else where you don't have to, walk through thick brush. Be quiet for a second. I think I heard a bear close to camp. Oh, let me get up. Jesus Christ. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Look, they're getting lost. Their mom is up there. Whoa, whoa, whoa. They're down there on their own. Go and get them, mother.
Just tell me what happened there, David.
We are inside the tent. Haven't turned on the electric fence for a second. I mean, the dangerous situation would be if the mother would have been close to them. And then, me coming out of the tent, she spotting her young next to the tent, being close, and she could really attack in this situation. That's really serious.
Better turn it on then.
Definitely turn on the electric fence. Just a stupid little moment of not paying attention.
That's the first time I've seen David make a mistake. As we prepare to leave for the place where Timothy Treadwell was eventually killed by a bear, it's a timely reminder of the dangers involved in living among wild and dangerous animals.
Now, you know that one day you could stumble across an upset bear and end up being killed.
By spending that much time around bears, I know that I run a risk of maybe one day running into this very mean bear for whatever reason, that something bad might happen to me. On the other hand, this risk is so minor compared to the value of what bears give me.
Well, that's it. Finally packed all my stuff in one place. This is the day that a bush pilot's coming out to collect David and I and take us to what people know as the Grizzly Maze. So it's bye-bye, lagoon. The lagoon is full of seals this morning. I've counted 8 seals. Hopefully we'll be back.
There's Willie coming.
Our transport awaits.
He even lands in the lagoon. It's not that high either, the water level. I really hope people make it up to this spot here.
It's only a 30-minute flight, but with all our equipment and the rough terrain, it would have taken a couple of days to walk there. David has been flying with bush pilot Willie Fulton since his very first trip to Alaska.
Hey, Willie!
You're still alive.
I am.
Good.
Good to see you. Good. Good so far.
Good.
Yes, lovely.
Hi, I'm Richard
Sure.
Terry.
Richard, good to meet you. Willie.
Good. I think we have to hurry up now, huh?
Yeah,
A
let's
little bit.
go.
But have a look at the bags, and if you say we're gonna do it in one jump, that would be perfect.
Okay.
Huh?
We'll go take a look. See how much stuff Richard brought.
And now for the next bit of our adventure. Off to the Grizzly Maze.
It was Treadwell himself who dubbed this area the Grizzly Maze, in reference to the intricate network of bear trails. The landscape below me is visibly different from our previous location. The open plains have been replaced by a forest of dense scrub.
Thanks, Willie.
Oh, yeah.
And almost as soon as we land, a bear emerges from the thick brush.
Took so many. Don't move, Richard, don't move. It's okay. Scared her.
Who's that bear, David?
It's a bear I call Looney. I met her last year and spent 2 wonderful weeks with her. I have so many nice pictures. And I can't believe she shows up right now. First bear, one of my favorite bears, a young female. She had a sister with her last autumn, but now she's on her own. So we'll see whether we find Suni. That's how I called her sister.
While David sets up camp, I have some questions for the bush pilot. I've heard that Willie often flew Treadwell and his girlfriend, Amy Huguenot, between camps, and was the man who discovered their bodies after they were killed and partially eaten by a grizzly. The bear thought to be responsible was later shot by park rangers.
I had a real close encounter with a bear that actually killed Timothy, you know. But that particular bear tried to take advantage of me, and I could think in the same way. But I got back to the airplane in time to avoid that. Don't miss that bear around here. He's just an unfriendly bear. Not that any of them are real pals, but...
Coming here, doesn't it bring back bad memories? Don't you worry for David?
I like to think the same thing's not gonna happen twice, you know, in the same place. Shoot, I think there's plenty of ways to die up here, you know, and anything can happen, but I like to think they're gonna be here when I come back for them.
Any advice for me?
Oh, that's right, you're staying here too. Yeah, watch your back. That's it. Bears are real sneaky, you know. They can sneak up on you. They're quiet. It's amazing an animal that big can move so quietly through the brush.
Good luck. See you later.
Willie is the last contact we will have with the outside world for the next month.
There he goes. Always a weird feeling when Willie leaves, that's for sure.
I'm still a little shaken after the cubs broke into our previous camp earlier today. And now that we've pitched our tents in the shadow of the grizzly maze, I'm in for a sleepless night.
It's gone 3 a.m. It's not helping me reading this brilliantly written but horrific, vivid account of the last moments of Timothy and his girlfriend. The wind's blowing. I've already been out to check the electric fence. There's no way I can sleep tonight. It's the first time I'm genuinely quite spooked.
After setting up camp in one of Alaska's most remote areas, David Bittner and I are about to travel through the grizzly maze. A series of bear trails that will take us to the exact spot where Timothy Treadwell was killed by a grizzly. I'm so curious about this place. I've heard and read so much about it, but David has some concerns.
Why are you not happy about taking me there?
It is dangerous, and you can come across a bear on these trails. It's a risk that I will take on my own will. It's something I'm just absolutely fascinated with, these bear trails. But of course I feel uneasy taking somebody else with me into this thick brush. And last but not least, it really has to do with respect as well. It's a site where 2 people got killed by bears, and I certainly just don't like to visit the site where, you know, a tragedy like this happened.
Our only line of defense in the maze is a can of pepper spray. And between you and I'd rather carry something more substantial.
Is that stuff actually useful? Does it work?
Imagine if you, you know, take it out and give the bear a big blow.
Go on, give it some.
You see, this stuff goes far. Make sure you're not in the wind. But if you get a good blow right in the face, with all the irritation on the eyes and the nose, it will hopefully make the bear run off. But it could also cause the opposite, that the bear will just be so irritated and just gets more aggressive. Better don't only use it in the last possible event.
To get to the place where Timothy Treadwell and his girlfriend set up what was to be their last camp, we will have to negotiate bear trails, narrow tunnels created by bears making their way to feeding grounds.
You should not walk on bear trails, but to be honest, there is no other option. You can get from one place to the other in this thick brush when not walking on the trail. I mean, look at it. It's like 15 inches deep here, and it's solid ground. I'm really amazed at the trails they build, those bears, and probably they're maybe even hundreds of years old. Yeah, let's go. Hello.
I've been warned that most bear attacks are the result of a surprise encounter. Thankfully, David always makes sure they can hear him coming.
Hey, bear. Look, bear's been here.
What happens if a bear turns up right at that corner?
Well, it's a risk I take, and when I notice a bear that doesn't move away, I get out of the way so he can pass. Hey, bear! What you doing? Well, well, instead of shouting sometimes, "Hey bear," I just give it a pause and I just listen to if I can hear any, bush rustling or a bear moving in my direction. And just, it's okay, everything is quiet, so let's go on.
After walking for hours through bear trails, we finally reach a clearing. This is the place where Timothy and Amy's time living among bears came to an end.
Well, we just about get to the spot here. Yes, that's something which I notice now as well. That's very interesting. 3 years ago, there used to be many more well-worn-out trails right here, and now it's really overgrown. And there's still the main trail down there, but all the little ones kind of disappeared. I think the bears realized that something special has happened here.
So this is the spot?
Maybe they smell the death. That's the spot. That's this little knob with the view on the glacier back there and the lake right here. So it's a major thoroughfare for the bears, but definitely not a spot to camp without an electric fence.
Comparisons are inevitable, but I want to know why David believes he can succeed where Treadwell failed.
Anybody who spends time on his own in this land with the bears is being compared sooner or later with Timothy Treadwell. I'm so affected by the bears and by this land, and this is definitely something we share. What I think what happened is that he just got too used being around the bears, and eventually this led to him losing respect and not looking at them as potentially dangerous animals anymore. So he did carry an electric fence at the beginning. He did carry a pepper spray and even made use of it. But eventually he considered these things as not necessary anymore. People should not come here and visit this place. And I already feel bad that I have done so.
David wanted to leave this spot. I wanted to stay and film a last sunset from Timothy Treadwell's last camp. A fitting tribute, I think, to his time spent here.
After 3 weeks in the wilderness, I was beginning to feel at ease here. But it's impossible to ignore what happened to Treadwell. And while I understand what drives David to live among bears, I still want to know why he keeps coming back year after year, knowing each trip could be his last. Over the coming weeks, David wants to show me one of nature's most impressive events, the annual salmon run. It happens just once a year and attracts scores of hungry wild bears. But if I thought living in the wilderness had been tough so far, it's only going to get worse. I will find myself at the center of a fierce Alaskan storm.
Last night, this tent nearly blew down.
Discover why you shouldn't pass through bear trails after dark.
Now that is one of the scariest feelings I have ever had.
And come face to face with some of the biggest bears on the planet.